It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 centuries, the Emperor of mankind has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. Eternal Crusade. Red Wastes 1. Incoming Strategic Holocaust. Segmentum Solar. Classified Crusade Briefing. Designation: Red Wastes Incident. File access: Obscurus Omega Majestic. Author: Inquisitorial Scribe Drexus Vale. The Emperor's blood flows in dust and ash. A crusade report on the treachery in the Red Wastes. When faith falters, the desert drinks the blood of the unworthy. When loyalty dies, only the Emperor's wrath remains. Fragment recovered from a Krieg Vox relay. Burned into a trench wall with a bayonet tip. The sand turns to blood. Beneath a sky of blistered crimson and perpetual storm, the Red Wastes have become a crucible of betrayal. Once a staging ground for the Imperium's armored might, its furnace heat and iron sands now bear witness to a heresy so sudden it split the ranks of the Astra Militarum like a blade through parchment. Under the shadow of false oaths, entire regiments raised in the Emperor's name have turned their weapons upon their kin. The traitor guard, driven by whispers from beyond the veil, struck with precision and merciless intent. Within a single night of fire, the heretics seized every Rogel Dorn siege tank stationed in the sector. Engines of imperial wrath now twisted into blasphemous tools of fratricide. The loyalists, caught between disbelief and annihilation, rallied to their only creed: duty unto death. The belligerents of the Red Wastes. The Faithless Legion. A patchwork host of renegade Astra Militarum drawn from the very regiments sworn to protect the sector. Their banners are scorched and blackened. Their vox calls nothing but corrupted chants. They field the Emperor's own war machines, Rogel Dorn and Basilisk batteries. Now daubed in the iconography of the warp, no single commander claims them. The heretics move as if guided by a will that is not their own, striking with uncanny coordination, their eyes reflecting the baleful glow of distant, hungering stars. The Last Breath Cohort. Standing firm amidst the maelstrom are the death corps of Krieg, unflinching in the face of certain death. Beside them ride the swift Talern Desert Raiders, their cavalry cutting through the dunes like blades of wind-driven glass. Massed Leman Russ squadrons roar across the wastes, treads grinding over traitor and loyalist dead alike. Behind the lines, Armageddon Warglaive war engines stride with predatory grace, thermal lances shrieking in the heated gale. They fight not for victory, but for the Emperor's judgment. Knowing salvation may never come, the battle unfolds. The opening hours saw earth-shattering artillery duels, Krieg heavy guns coughing endless fire into the horizon, while the traitors answered with captured Imperial cannons. The air is a haze of promethium smoke and pulverized stone. Whole platoons vanish beneath the grinding advance of stolen Rogel Dorns, while Krieg engineers detonate charges beneath their own lines to deny ground. The Talern cavalry strike like desert wraiths, harassing the enemy's flanks before disappearing into the storm. But even their speed cannot halt the relentless heretic push. Every trench becomes a tomb, every dune a pyre. Despite the slaughter, the Loyalists have achieved the impossible. Before the traitors' Vox jammers closed the ether, an encoded astropathic SOS was hurled into the immaterium. Its signal burns now in the minds of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica like a brand of living fire. The shadow of what comes. The Red Wastes howl with more than mortal war. Psychers report a psychic pressure beneath the sands, a slow and hateful pulse like a buried heart. Some whisper that this betrayal is but the opening move of a deeper, darker design, one that stretches far beyond a single world. Will the Emperor's faithful hold the line until relief arrives? Or will the traitors' black banners herald the birth of a new demon world, carved from the bones of the loyal dead? The answer waits in the ashes. The Emperor watches. The Red Wastes Bleed. Eternal Crusade. Red Wastes 2. Incoming Strategic Holocaust. Segmentum Solar. Classified Crusade Briefing. Designation: Red Wastes Relief Operation. File access: Obscurus Omega Majestic. Author: Inquisitorial Scribe Drexus Vale. Silver and Black in the Bloodstorm. A Crusade report on the arrival of the Emperor's finest. They came not as saviors, but as executioners. The air burned with their presence. Even the traitors dared not speak the names of those who walked from the storm. Excerpt from a Talern cavalryman's final Vox recording, Red Wastes Theater. The echo of the SOS. The astropathic cry of the death corpse pierced the immaterium like a blade. Within heartbeats of its reception, the secretive Grey Knights of Titan and the indomitable Black Templars answered. No debate, no hesitation, only the cold certainty of duty. The Grey Knights, Ordo Malleus' most sanctified warriors, rode the tides of the warp with unnatural speed. Their silvered strike cruisers cut the void like silent comets, carrying the Emperor's judgment toward the burning dunes. The Black Templars marshaled their own crusade fleet, oaths of wrath echoing across their decks, but their translation through the warp would lag by crucial hours. The Red Wastes would know the Grey Knights first. The landing of the Silver Brethren. As the first storm of dawn lit the horizon, the Grey Knights descended in thunderous drop strikes. Psy-cannon fire split the gale. Their nemesis blades wreathed in blinding sigils of warding. The traitor lines shuddered, then howled defiance. From the heretic bastions rolled the prize of their treachery. A captured Baneblade Super Heavy, its adamantium hull now defiled with unholy runes, its macro cannons vomiting ruin. Every shell was an earthquake, every impact a funeral. Grey Knight Terminators strode through this apocalypse as living bulwarks, storm bolters roaring, psychic force hammers shattering traitor armor. The ground burned with the clash of will and sorcery as demon-tinged guardsmen met their end in cleansing silver fire. The Battle of the Shattered Dunes. For 6 relentless hours the Baneblade's guns scoured the battlefield, turning trenches into molten scars and hurling Krieg fortifications skyward in clouds of glass sand. The Death Corps held their lines in silence, their faces hidden behind rebreathers as comrades were unmade beside them. The Talern cavalry, their numbers already cruelly thinned, struck like lightning to harry the behemoth's flanks, only to be driven back by torrents of plasma and flame. But the Grey Knights are the Emperor's will-made flesh. Under a psychic barrage that split the veil of reality itself, strike squads blinked through the storm in teleport shrouds, boarding the heretic Baneblade amid shrieking Vox static. Nemesis force blades pierced reactor cores. Purifying sigils blazed white-hot. With a detonation that shook the desert for leagues, the corrupted engine of war was brought low, its ruinous carcass collapsing into the sands, its crew reduced to ash and nightmare. The traitor assault faltered. The tide, for a moment, receded, a reprieve drenched in ash. Smoke and psychic residue hung like a second sky. The Grey Knights formed a silver wall before the battered Krieg trenches, their psychic chants scouring the tainted air. Heretic artillery fell silent, their commanders dead or fleeing into the howling dust. The Death Corps stood unbowed, their silence a grim hymn of gratitude. Yet even in this fleeting victory, the wastes whispered of darker days. Warp light flickered beneath the dunes. The enemy had been repelled, but not destroyed. Far above, the Black Templar Crusade fleet burned through the void, oaths of purgation on their lips, their arrival imminent. The Emperor's wrath is gathering. The traitors will know no mercy. Eternal Crusade. Red Wastes 3. Incoming Strategic Holocaust. Segmentum Solar. Classified Crusade Briefing. Designation: Red Wastes Incident. Phase Omega. File access: Omega in Violet Black. Author: Inquisitorial Scribe Drexus Vale. Brothers in Blood. a crusade report on the tragedy at the Ashen Trenches. In the storm's heart, even the purest steel can mistake friend for foe. When the smoke cleared, no one remembered who had fired first. Fragment of a seized inquisitorial transcript, origin suppressed. The shadow of the Black Cross. The void burned as the Black Templars emerged from the warp, their fleet a spear of obsidian wrath cutting through the choking void dust. Across Vox and Astropathic Channel, oaths of retribution rang like cathedral bells. Their mission, to relieve the embattled death corpse of Krieg and stand beside the Grey Knights who had already bled to hold the Red Wastes. But war is a language of confusion and ruin. As the Templars' Thunderhawks descended through smoke-thick skies, the desert below roiled with gunfire and ash. Their black armor, caked in blood and sand, became to distant augurs an indistinct silhouette, a mirror of the enemy the Grey Knights had only just beaten back. Mistaken blasphemy. The Grey Knights, still wreathed in psychic wards and the stink of demon ichor, perceived the oncoming Templar strike force as a fresh heretical incursion. Voxhalers were lost to the storms. Visual confirmation failed. A single, fateful command cracked the air. Cleanse the heretic. Psycannons spat argent fire. Storm bolters barked holy death. The first ranks of Black Templar sword brethren staggered beneath the sudden assault, their black and white tabards shredded by silvered bolts. Veteran warriors, oath-bound for centuries, fell in smoking ruin before they could even return a challenge. The Black Cross unbound. Shock gave way to fury. The Templars bellowed countervoxes, their marshal crying for parley, but the storm swallowed every word. As more of their honored brethren were cut down, legends of crusades past erased in seconds, the Black Templars' restraint snapped like a cracked relic blade. With a roar that drowned the thunder, the Crusaders charged. Chain's words screamed their litany of vengeance. Power swords met Nemesis force halberds in a tempest of white sparks and arterial spray. Where silver met black, the desert itself seemed to recoil. The Grey Knights fought as the Emperor's chosen, every strike guided by psychic might. But the Templars came on like a tide of righteous hatred. Centuries of crusading fervor and warrior zeal became a singular, unstoppable storm. One by one, the sons of Titan fell, their sanctified armor shattered beneath the weight of the Templars' wrath. The lone survivor. When the dust settled, the field was littered with the broken. No Grey Knight squad stood whole. Only a single survivor, a Justicar, grievously wounded and half-blinded, escaped the slaughter, borne away by a desperate teleport strike even as his brothers were cut down around him. His last Vox burst carried a single, damning message to the Ordo Malleus. Traitor Templars, purge required, the price of shadowed loyalty. The Inquisition now moves like a silent blade through the void. Crusader fleets are already marked for observation, interdiction, and eradication. Every Templar vessel is a hunted citadel, every knight a suspect. Among the Death Corps trenches, the loyal dead are buried side by side, Grey Knight and Black Templar, without distinction. The Krieg dig their graves in silence. The desert drinks their blood without judgment. The Red Wastes know no truth, only the endless echo of betrayal. The Emperor's light burns on, but in its shadow brother has slain brother. Eternal Crusade. Red Wastes 4. Incoming Strategic Holocaust. Segmentum Solar. Classified Crusade Briefing. Designation: Armageddon Front. Phase Mortis. File Access: Omega Blood Reliquary. Author: Inquisitorial Scribe Drexus Vale. When Angels Fall. A crusade report on the sacrifice of the Blood Angels. We sang the litany of sacrifice as the world burned around us. The sky was black with rot, yet still we leapt into the jaws of death. We were born for this. Recovered Vox Fragment, Brother Sergeant Aurelio, 9 Legion successor. The shadow of the Plague Lord. While the red wastes drowned in fratricide, the true horror marched upon Armageddon's primary hives. From the warp-rent storm fronts came Mordorion, demon pre-march of the Death Guard, a living scythe of pestilence. His legion advanced as an inexorable tide of filth and contagion. Plague marines, demon engines, and clouds of corpse flies blotting out the sun. Hive Tempestora, Volundus, and the shrine spires beyond lay in their path, each already choking beneath the fetid winds of Nurgle's breath. The Imperium's answer was immediate and desperate. The Blood Angels, sons of Sanguinius, struck from the void in a crimson rain. Alongside them, the indomitable Grey Knights redeployed from the shattered wastes, their silvered weapons burning with psychic wards. Together they formed a shield of holy fire against the oncoming plague. The Butcher's Battle. The engagement that followed will be whispered as legend and lament. The Blood Angels descended in full fury, their jump packs igniting the corpse smoke as if the heavens themselves bled flame. Chain's words sang a hymn of vengeance. Bolt pistols roared like the beating of a vast crimson heart. Every strike was poetry and death. The Grey Knights wove psychic fortresses amid the melee, their chants a counterpoint to the diseased moans of the Death Guard. Strike squads teleported into the thickest fighting, their nemesis blades cutting demons back into the warp. Yet Mortarion's host was endless. Blight haulers and foetid bloat drones boiled from every breach. Each brother slain rose again as a shambling plague wight, the very ground turning to infectious mire beneath their boots. The price of salvation. For 6 solar days the Blood Angels fought beyond endurance. They became incandescent icons of sacrifice, every squad a crimson comet flaring brilliantly before extinction. From the golden helms of the Sanguinary Guard to the last neophyte scout, not one angel of Baal survived. Their final charges bought precious hours for the civilian exodus and imperial evacuations, their names now etched in the annals of ultimate devotion. The Grey Knights, their numbers dwindling and their prognostications screaming of imminent doom, enacted an ordered retreat. Teleport beacons flared across the charnel plains as the sons of Titan withdrew, not in cowardice, but in grim necessity. Their mission was no longer victory, but remembrance, to carry the tale of the Blood Angels' martyrdom to the wider Imperium. The tale that must be told. Now the skies of Armageddon are black with flies and despair. Mortarion's laughter echoes through the hive towers like a funeral bell. Yet the sacrifice of the Blood Angels is a light that cannot be quenched. The Grey Knights bear witness, their ships carved through the void, carrying both the story of glorious death and the warning of the Plague God's next assault. They will fight again, for the Emperor does not forget. The Blood Angels have fallen, but their valor is immortal. Their blood consecrates the ground. Their names will be a rallying cry when the Imperium's next counterstroke descends. Eternal Crusade. Red Wastes 5. Incoming Strategic Holocaust. Segmentum Solar. Classified Crusade Briefing. Designation: Armageddon Counteroffensive, Black/Silver Spearhead. File access: Omega Purgatus Primaris. Author: Inquisitorial Scribe Drexus Vale. The Glory and the Wound. A Crusade report on the Black Templars' assault at the Rusted Plains. They strode into the storm, believing themselves the Emperor's retribution made flesh. When the smoke cleared, they were but men, bleeding, broken, yet unbowed. Suppressed Field Sermon, Preceptor Chaplain Valerius, Ordo Hereticus Transcript. The Unholy Alliance of Duty. After weeks of shadowed recriminations and whispered threats, the Black Templars and Grey Knights set aside their grievances. The High Lord's edict was absolute. The Death Guard could not be allowed to grind the hives of Armageddon into plague-ridden ruin. At last, Marshal Omar Samson, bearer of the Black Cross of Eternal Crusade, clasped arms, however coldly, with the Silver Warriors of Titan. Their combined host became a spear of obsidian and argent, aimed at the rotting heart of Mortarian's advance. The Marshal's gamble, impetuous and driven by visions of personal triumph. Marshal Samson sought to carve his name into the annals of Imperial legend. Before the Grey Knights could complete their calculated wards and psychic auguries, he unleashed the full fury of his crusade in a frontal assault. Thunderhawks screamed through pestilent skies. Land Raider Crusaders and the Templar Heavy Panzer Corps, squadrons of Predators and Vindicator siege tanks, rolled like a tide of adamantium. Sword Brethren strike teams leapt from their transports with blades alight, their battle chants drowning the drone of Nurgle's flies. For a fleeting hour, it seemed the Emperor's wrath would not be denied. The nightmares of Nurgle. Then the earth itself split. From the fetid haze emerged the titanic Knights of Decay, demon engines of unimaginable vileness, stitched from rusted god machines and rotting flesh. Each was a cathedral of filth and war, towering above the battlefield like plague-crowned mountains. Their footfalls cracked the bedrock. Their cannons vomited pestilence and molten rot. The Black Templars met them without hesitation. Sword Brethren swarmed the first monstrosity, melta charges and relic blades biting deep into its cancerous hide until the demon engine shrieked and toppled, a mountain of ichor and iron. The Panzer Corps, relentless even as their ranks were torn apart, coordinated a punishing crossfire that scoured a second abomination from the field in a storm of plasma and lost fire. But victory demanded a toll the Templars had not foreseen: the price of hubris. For every corrupted knight that fell, scores of Templars were annihilated. Entire Crusader squads vanished in gouts of warp rot. Venerable Land Raiders were torn open like parchment, their crews reduced to pools of diseased sludge. Marshal Samson himself was dragged from his steed by a plague-ridden reaper of bones, his armor shattered and his helm cracked, only to be wrenched free by his dying bodyguard. The Grey Knights fought with grim precision, their psychic might holding the line long enough to prevent a total rout. Yet when the smoke cleared, the field belonged to Mortarian's legions. The heretics had won the day. Oaths of vengeance. The Black Templars did not break, but they were crippled, wounded, and shamed. Companies lay in ruin. Relic blades lay buried beneath fetid sand. Marshal Omar Samson, battered and bleeding, swore before the Emperor and the surviving chaplains that this humiliation would be repaid in blood and fire. The crusade is not ended. The Black Cross will rise again, but the red wastes remember, and the stink of defeat clings like rot to the sons of Dorne. Eternal Crusade. Red Wastes Aftermath. Incoming Strategic Holocaust. Segmentum Solar. Classified Crusade Briefing. Designation: Red Wastes, Aftermath and Escalation. File access: Omega Purgatus Obscurus. Author: Inquisitorial Scribe Drexus Vale. The desert breathes with whispers. The red wastes lie scarred and silent beneath a blood-red sun. Trenches smolder. Craters gash the earth like open wounds. The air tastes of promethium, iron, and the stench of rot. The Black Templars, their banners tattered and their numbers grievously diminished, have regrouped. Marshal Omar Samson surveys the horizon, chainsword in hand, eyes burning with fury and the unyielding weight of oath. Around him, the survivors of the Grey Knights stand in solemn vigil, their psychic auras flickering like distant stars against the stormed dunes. Yet relief is fleeting. The enemy never sleeps. Reports crackle across the astropathic channels. Scattered Death Guard contingents swarm the outskirts of the ruined hives. Demonic engines prowl the wastelands. Rumors speak of new alliances forming among heretic Astra Militarum remnants, their hatred and cunning sharpened by betrayal. Hive Tempestora, Volundus, and the shattered shrine spires remain under siege, their defenders stretched thin, yet desperate. Every civilian evacuation route has become a battlefield. Every dune conceals an ambush. The Imperium must respond. The High Lords have decreed the Red Wastes a priority theater. Reinforcements from the Adeptus Astartes are en route. The Black Templars and Grey Knights will no longer fight in isolation. Imperial Knights have been mobilized. Every warrior, every tank, every ounce of Promethean firepower must be brought to bear to prevent the world from falling entirely into plague and heresy. Yet the scars of recent battles linger. Trust is fragile. Every battlefield decision carries the shadow of past slaughter. Friend may yet fall to friend in the heat of confusion and fury. The future is written in blood. As the red wastes simmer under the dying light, the first harbingers of the next wave of war stir on the horizon. The Death Guard are not yet done. New war bands of Traitor Guard are amassing. Demon engines claw their way from the warp. The desert itself seems to pulse with malignant intent. Omar Samson tightens his gauntlet fists. The Black Templars will strike again. The Grey Knights whisper their wards. And somewhere, beyond the reach of mortal eyes, the Emperor watches. The next battle looms. The Red Wastes are only the beginning.